34-year-old man, and a father of 4. My babies are a 13-year-old boy, 11-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, and 8-year-old boy. Our youngest has some significant sensory issues and anger management issues, which he is being evaluated for. Important info for context. He's already been diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, but this goes beyond that. My sister, 34, my twin, has a 12-year-old daughter, Jane, who is a spoiled, rotten kid, as she is an only child, and my sister puts a whole new meaning to gentle parenting, as in she doesn't parent because her kid is just expressing herself and she doesn't want to hinder her personality, which sucks. I love my niece to the depth of my being, but I do not like her or my sister. I don't know how else to put it. On Saturday, we had a memorial service for my uncle, who passed away months ago. It was held at my brother's house. There were probably about 12 kids there. We easily got 40 packs of those 60-pack water balloon things and let the kids go crazy. It was a big event. However, at some point, my youngest decided the water was too much for him to handle, said he was done playing, and came to sit by me and dry off. He was behaving well, which I was grateful for because he has many bad days. But my niece kept coming up and throwing more water balloons at him after she was asked to stop. It was causing him to spiral, and he starts raging out, basically. And my sister was telling me to calm my kid down and tell him to stop being a baby. She didn't want to get wet. So every time he went to throw one back, she would start screaming, telling him to stop. At that point, my sister got involved as well and yelled at my son, saying, "Don't you dare. She said not to get her wet because she's wearing white and it'll be see-through." I told her to tell her daughter to stop throwing water balloons at my son because he had already said to stop, and she said he's already freaking wet. So basically, my niece was perfectly fine to throw things at my kid, who had asked her to stop repeatedly, but they weren't letting him defend himself. The last time my niece came up to him, I spoke up and said, "Don't even think about it." He said no. She didn't listen and threw it anyway, so I grabbed the hose beside me and drenched her for a solid 30 seconds. She immediately starts crying and covering herself and goes to hang out in my sister's car. My sister starts berating me and stating that I knew it was going to make her see-through and decided to be inappropriate anyways. My mom and father kicked her out for that comment. I'm getting texts from my brother-in-law, however, stating that I'm a pig and what I did was uncalled for and abusive, and that I would never be allowed around my niece again because I'm inappropriate. ETA. The dress wasn't even all white. It had a white strip along her stomach. That's the only spot of white that was on her. The rest of the dress was dark. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Everyone is acting like OP gunned her down with a fire hose. It was likely a garden hose. As far as we know, the niece had 2 working legs, and I presume OP didn't get up or chase her. She could have walked away. If she didn't want to get wet because she was wearing a dress, then she shouldn't have been playing with water. All it would take was a 5-year-old who didn't know better to land a water balloon. She agreed to play, and a vital part of that is getting wet. The son did what he was supposed to. OP was protecting his son, and if the sister didn't want OP to parent, then she should have parented the niece herself. What the niece was doing was malicious. She was trying to provoke the son and make him lash out, not the idiot. Comment 2. At the end of the day, he told what would happen if she soaked his kid again. She did it. He only stood by what he said. He is not a creep. I've worn a white dress, it got soaked, and it hasn't turned see-through. At the end of the day, the sister needs to tell her daughter about boundaries. She's old enough she should know that no means no. Instead, she kept going on and on. Well, whatever happened after the fact is her own fault and her mom's fault. Why should she have her boundaries respected while she won't respect anyone else's? What? Because she's a young girl and the boundaries of the kid she wasn't respecting was a young boy. No idiots here. That doesn't matter. Comment 3. Not the idiot, but I think you should have blasted the poop out of your sister. Something like, "My son has already said stop. Anything your daughter does to him, I do to you." Now she's on the hook for her daughter's behavior. Now, for the next story. Sierra and I have been dating for 4 years. I absolutely love her and felt like she was my soulmate. I knew I wanted to propose 2 years into dating, but decided to wait 1 more year so that I could get in a better situation financially. Last year, I proposed. It was a private proposal on the beach where we went on our first date. She looked at me and said, "I want to marry you, but not right now." She said she wasn't in the right space personally to get engaged and to give her some time. That stung, but I was okay with it. After all, I put off proposing so I can be in a good position. It's only fair I give her the chance. It's been a year since then, and I decided to propose again. This time, I asked our friends to help me set it up, because I wanted to do something nicer. We orchestrated a nice dinner and a proposal in front of a nice fountain in the city's botanical garden. Everything was ready. Dinner went great, and we went to the fountain. She saw the roses and everything, and then I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. She teared up and told me, "Not just yet." This stung really bad. I knew I wanted her in my life forever, but this is the second time she turned me down. I asked her why, and she told me the same thing as last year. I asked her if someone was holding her back, maybe family or friend, and she just said, "I just want to make sure that this will work." This hurt me more than the 2 rejections. I told her if after 4 years she isn't sure, then what the hell will make her sure? She asked me to give her time, and I told her no. I told her that I'm not going to keep wasting my time in love if she's going to keep saying no. I told her that I can't do this anymore. She began begging me not to leave and said, "Fine, I'll marry you. Just please don't go." That made me mad, but I didn't say anything. I left. My phone has been blowing up with some of our friends, her parents, and her telling me that I'm an idiot for throwing away a 4-year relationship because she said no, and that I was being a big baby. She just needs some time. The other half of our friends aren't on my side, but they're not on hers either. I don't think I'm an idiot for this. Did I overreact? Am I an idiot? If so, how much more time am I supposed to give her? Edit. We are both 29 years old. Edit 2. The second proposal wasn't done in front of my friends. They just helped me plan it and stuff. It was just her and I. Edit 3. We had discussed marriage shortly before I proposed the first time. She was into it and even told me that she couldn't see herself with anyone else. She seemed eager about the idea of marriage, which is why I was shocked the first time and then angry the second time. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. If after 4 years she's not ready to marry you, then I doubt she wants to. When she asked for time after the first proposal, she should have explained everything and said why she needed time, in depth. You clearly were ready for marriage and wanted to take that step. After 4 years, that's completely reasonable. Move on and find someone more compatible with you. The fact she changed her mind about it after you left and then had friends and family messaging you and insulting you just means you dodged a massive burden by not actually marrying her. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If she wants to get married, she'd get engaged and have a long engagement. People do it all the time. I was in the no kids not getting married category. The second I started talking to my now husband, I knew he was different and he'd be in my life forever. In my mind, it was life partners. Then I got pregnant shortly after. Then 4 years in, he proposed. I was shocked. Then we didn't get married until 3 years later. It sounds like you're ready to settle down and she's not. It's painful, but you guys can love each other and not be in love. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Engagement is exactly what she's crying about. Making sure it's what you really want before taking the final step of marriage. I know you don't need to get engaged to decide if a person is right for you. But to me, it seems like the last, are you positive, you want to spend the rest of your life with this person? Step in a relationship. Her only saying yes to keep you around is very telling. I'm so sorry you're going through this. You'll find someone who wants a line with yours. Now, for the next story. 10 years ago, I let my cousin into my house when he was 16-year-old. Every one of my video games he handled that day was missing the next day. He took the disc from the cases, and who knows what happened to the disc after that. Some of those games were rare and out of print. As soon as my mother found out, I told his father, my uncle, about this. She called my uncle up and told him that because I was a diagnosed Aspie, I did not really know my cousin stole the games from me. My cousin got away with stealing from me because of that. My mother later admitted she knew she lied to my uncle because she was worried that my cousin being grounded all summer would be bad for his mental health. Now I have a house, and I refuse to let this cousin into it until he apologizes for stealing from me. My family is telling me I am being childish because he was a child when he stole from me, but I think he learned it was safe to steal from me thanks to my mother's intervention. How should I handle this? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. An apology is the very least you should be asking. How about $200,000 worth of payback? Plus an apology. At the very least. Has he no shame? Can't believe he hasn't even apologized or made some excuse. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Why don't you ask your family if they'll mind if you steal $200,000 worth of their stuff? It'd be childish to mind, right? And wow, your mother is a piece of work. Absolute. Not the idiot. Stand your ground. Hope you have managed to rebuild your game collection. Comment 2, not the idiot. So you're Asperger's, and they wonder why you can't let it go. Sometimes I think, often people with special needs are smarter than most of the so-called normals. Don't let it go. If it were me, he'd have to apologize and pay for replacements, but I'm a bitter old girl who hates thieves and loves gaming. Edit to add, sorry, neurodivergent. I'm still stuck on old definitions. I didn't want to edit out the mistake though, otherwise the following comments wouldn't make sense. Comment 3. So your cousin being grounded is bad for his mental health, but you facing injustice, theft, and having nobody trusting your claim and knowing your mother doesn't have your back is good. Your mother didn't want to create waves in the extended family by disregarding her child. Her choice. Now you want to enforce your boundaries. No thief in your house. Your choice. Period. Not the idiot. Now, for the next story. I am 27 years old and had Friday night date plans with my 28-year-old boyfriend. There were a few things I needed to do before driving the 35 minutes to his place to have our dinner and movie. I had just gotten off of work and needed to shower, take care of my pet, pack for the night, and clean a bit before heading out. Right before my shift ended, I got my period, yay, and with that came super bad cramps, back pain, a headache, and all the fun period feelings that I didn't expect. So, I planned to head to a nearby store, the closer I got to his place to grab tampons and some period pads. Right before I showered, I got an ETA call from him. I told him the time he should expect me and gave him a heads up that I'm not feeling too well. He offered sympathy and then asked if there's anything he can do to help me. I hesitated before I answered because in the past he's asked and I've said, and nothing came of it. I decided to just give it a shot and ask if he could run to the store since it's about a 2-minute drive from his place to grab the items for me. I said I can send you the exact products I need, which is just about 3, and also Venmo him. He chuckled and said, yeah, no, we can just go together to grab those things. I'm shocked and state, that would just be a waste, I'll just run there myself. Sometime later I finished my tasks, ran to the store, grabbed my period products, and headed to his place. It's once we were sitting down later that I asked him why didn't he want to grab the items for me after he asked if he could help me. He answered, I'm not going to embarrass myself. We could have grabbed it together. Besides, I didn't want to get up. I was in the middle of a game. After hearing this, I ended things and left. Now, for the next story. My brother Mark, who is 40 years old, won the lottery when he was 20. It was $1,000 a week for life. He was young and wanted to travel. He dropped out of school and has spent his entire adulthood basically seeing the world. He comes home to visit every few years, and we FaceTime with him when he is near a signal. He doesn't travel first class or stay in expensive resorts, so he has actually built up some nice savings. He came home with a girlfriend, Haley, who is 28 years old this year. They met when they got stuck in South America during the pandemic. She has been traveling since she graduated from university, and she works from a laptop. I, a 54-year-old woman, live in the same city where I was born. I love it here. I love being close to my parents and my grandchildren, and most of my siblings. Mark hated being the youngest of 8 and always swore he would not have kids. Our parents were older when they had him, and they didn't have the energy for him, truth be told. Mark came home when he was 30 and told us all that he had had a vasectomy and that he would not be contributing to the world population. Haley is a pretty young woman, and she is also intelligent and sweet. I can understand why anyone would fall in love with her. We were having a family BBQ to celebrate Mark being in town. There were maybe 30 people in my parents' yard and house. I was talking to Haley about her future plans now that the world opened up again. She said that she was ready to settle down and start a family. I asked if they were planning on adopting from one of the countries that they had traveled to, or if they would try in North America. She said they had talked about it and would be having at least one child of their own. This may be where I messed up. I asked where Mark got his vasectomy reversed, or if they were having in vitro fertilization. I know they can harvest sperm from a testicle even after a vasectomy. She went very quiet and went over to Mark. They spoke and they left. Mark called me later that night to scream at me for ruining his life. He hadn't told her, and he was planning on just continuing to travel and maybe adopt if they decided on it. He said I shared private medical information and that he never wanted to see me again. I apologized over and over. I seriously had no way of knowing that he was planning a future with this girl without telling her a pretty big piece of the puzzle might be missing. I feel bad for him, but I think he should have told her. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. He hadn't told her, and he was planning on just continuing to travel and maybe adopt if they decided on it. First off, doesn't sound like he was ever going to tell her, and if they decide on it, there is no if they. He has already made the decision when he chose not to inform her of his vasectomy. Not the idiot. If anything, you might have done this girl a huge favor, and even your brother as well. He may not think so now, but what if this is what she really wants? Is he going to have kids just to make her happy? Or what if she decides to not have kids to make him happy? Sounds like this could lead to resentment down the road. Comment 2. It wasn't private medical information. He literally shared it with the entire family when he was 30 years old. If he wanted it kept private, he wouldn't have told his entire family. Nobody forced him to say anything. He did that on his own. How are you supposed to know that he was lying to this woman's face, and that he was always planning on dragging things out as long as possible before coming clean or lying and saying he was infertile? Not the idiot. Comment 3. This reminds me of a Dear Producer letter. The husband and wife were trying for a baby, and the wife felt like it was her fault. The husband was being supportive and helping her through it. One day, she was talking to her mother-in-law, husband's mother, and the mother-in-law asked if he had reversed his vasectomy. Well, she ran for the hills. Why would anyone stay with someone who leaves out some very important info? Not the idiot. You saved her a lot of pain. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.